morning to you, my name's Dayle and this is Dayle's Addiction. Today's video is the bags I've sold and why for 2021 in the first 6 months and how I've sold them and reviewing the selling processes to help you make a painful process probably a little less painful. Now, the first bag that I sold this year was my Chanel La Boy bag in the beautiful shiny grey caviar with shiny silver hardware. I'll put a picture up here of that bag. It was weird when I did the brutal review of that bag. So many people contacted me in the comments a couple of months after I posted that video asking if the bag was still available. And the irony was that they were wanting to buy that bag directly through me. Now, I listed that bag for consignment just after I filmed that video with a luxury pre-loved designer consignment store here in Australia. I think it took quite a while for that bag to sell. The commission, the charge is around 15%, which is pretty normal for luxury and pre-loved designer resellers or consignment stores. So the process involves filling out an online form, taking a lot of pictures of the bag, you receive a quote, and then you decide if you want to go ahead and consign. You package the bag up, you post it, and then once they have it, they hold on to it for around 6 weeks. So if you change your mind during that time, there are some fees that are not refundable. Then you wait and you wait and you wait until somebody decides that they love your bag and they want to buy it. So I think the price that I had agreed to sell that bag for and the price that I received worked out, but it took quite a lot of time. I was happy with the price that I got, and yeah, as I said, the commission was around 15%. That bag, I've done a whole review on it, so it's pretty obvious as to why I sold it, but I am still getting comments on that video asking, is the bag still available? So a lot of the greys are coming back in, perhaps not the boy bag so much as popular, but that particular grey was such a beautiful bag, so I have no regrets of the fact that I sold that bag though. The next bag that I sold was my Coach Laura bucket bag. Again, I'll insert some snaps here. I did a video around bag styles that don't work for me, and I mentioned the bucket bag in particular. I bought that bag as a more affordable alternative to Louis Vuitton's Bella bag at the time. That bag was $5,000 and the Coach bag that I bought was around $600. I used it once and I never used it again. And I talked about the bag on my channel and on my Instagram, and I actually had one of my lovely subscribers reach out and say, if you're selling that bag, I want to buy it. And that's the first time I've sold directly through Instagram or a social media platform. I was confident to do that because the price of the bag was under $500 and the risk to me seemed okay. I would not be okay to sell bags in the thousands of dollars through Facebook Marketplace and Instagram, even if I knew the person. I just think there's so much that can go wrong. There's so much at risk. Yeah, it's not something that I'd want to do. And the times that I have purchased through those forums, I bought this bag through a Facebook group, and I think the seller may have been slightly offended when I said, hey, listen, can you send me your actual name and your phone number and your address, because all I've got is a messenger account on Facebook, and if something goes wrong and I've sent $5,000 to somebody I don't know who can deactivate their account at any time, I'm kind of high and dry. So yeah, for a small amount like the Coach bag, was absolutely keen, and obviously my lovely subscriber and we chat on Instagram quite a bit, and she is within Australia, so that made it a lot simpler. Same with this one, was in Australia as well, but still a little bit scary. Now, I think if you're buying on a social media platform from somebody who's on YouTube or has a big Instagram following, it's kind of an advantage for you, because if that person doesn't follow through with the condition of the item, or whatever the case might be, that it's not a smooth process, you've actually got quite a lot of power to give them feedback in a very public way. So it's much better for the buyer, potentially, than for the seller. And the most recent bag that I have sold, and you probably would have been getting the hints about this, you know, for the year that I've been on YouTube, I've always spoken about this bag, that I love it, but I never use it. And it was my Louis Vuitton twist in the size in the Coquelicot red. I'll put a picture of it up here. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that I have sold that bag, and it actually came at a really good time to actually press go on selling it. I'd been speaking with Amelia Rose from Amelia Rose's Closet, because she has a twist bag as well, and in the size, and she wasn't using hers either. And even though mine was a gift and that was what was kind of stopping me from selling it, I realised that it's just too much to be sitting there on the shelf. And a lot of you on my Instagram handle also commented to say, look, yep, it's a lovely bag, but it's too much to just be sitting there and not being used. Whilst I was contemplating selling it, Enter Offer reached out to me and said, you know, we've just designed a new tech platform in Australia which helps people to buy and sell luxury and pre-loved goods with a lot less risk involved. And I thought, okay, this sounds good. Tell me more. So I had a phone conversation with Enter Offer, and they talked through the concept of this platform. And to me, it sounds very much like an Australian style vestiaire. As a seller, I could list my item, and I could even record a short video of the item. And what that does is kind of gives the buyer a bit more transparency. There's actually a real person behind this item. It's not so anonymous and so uncertain. And I think that's really important. A lot of Facebook groups, you know, they have a profile that they use for their buying and selling that's different to their personal profile. And so you really don't even know that this person exists or where you might be able to find them. On the site, you literally pop in your item name, you list your desired price, you put in your photos or a video of the item, and then you submit the listing for approval. Once Enter Offer review your listing, it's approved and it's posted. And it's only a very small platform at the moment. So if you haven't come across it yet, there will be details in my link below in terms of signing up and having a look. Now, as a seller, what I loved about this was that I get to set the price. And once I've set the price, people can submit their offers to me. The offers are also tracked publicly, so if somebody was to lowball me and I decline that offer and somebody else comes in and says, righto, I know she's asking $3,000 for this bag, but I'm going to offer $2,500. Oh, someone's already offered that and it's not been approved, then they can amend their offer accordingly. So any questions that are asked about the item are also kept on the chat. So you are able to look at any questions that have already been asked before asking a question yourself. And as a seller, I don't know if you've ever tried to sell bags before, but God, it's painful. The amount of questions, the amount of extra photos that people want, and you're doing this for multiple potential buyers. Whereas on Enter Offer, if somebody asks for an extra photo, you can post it up and then everyone can see it. So it's very different to having that tire kicker situation where it's just churning up so much of your precious time. What I did was I researched a reasonable price for my bag. I did not try at the high end, even though the bag was a 9.5 out of 10 in my opinion. For a black bag of the same price on any consignment store, it was around $3,500. So mine was a red bag, which I thought would be a much less popular colour, so I listed at $3,300. The benefit for me was if I'd have consigned my bag through any other consignment store, I would have been paying at least 15%, potentially more in consignment. With Enter Offer, I paid 10%. of the sales price. I got a bid. Within 3 days, I got a bid on my bag, and it was only $100 less than asking, and I went, bang, accept that bid. So I accepted the bid, and what do you know, I got an email from Enter Offer saying, your bag's been purchased, please package it up and send it to us within the next, I think it had to arrive within 10 days. I sent it off. Great communication throughout the process, sent them the tracking details. They showed me they'd received it once they had completed the entropy authentication, and I'll insert a video because they put it on Instagram. I suggested that they should, because I think people want to know what that process looks like. Then the cash hit my account, just like that. And then my job was done. So if the seller wasn't happy that the condition of the bag matched what was advertised, that was on Enter Offer. If the seller wanted a return or a change their mind, that's on Enter Offer. To ship the bag with the appropriate level of insurance, that's on Enter Offer as well. So for me, it was one of the easiest, most pain-free selling experiences that I've had. I want to share that with you guys, especially, well, here's the thing, right? They're only doing this in Australia. So at the moment, it's Australia only, which for the rest of the world, you might think that's very unfair. But for us, you know, basically all we've got is consignment stores or Facebook groups, and there's not a lot of choice. So this is a really great option for us here. And if you use my link below and you sign up with Enter Offer, you'll get a $20 site credit to use toward your first purchase. Now here's the thing, what's in it for me? Well, there's nothing in it for me unless you end up buying something off the platform. And if you do, I get a $20 credit in my account. So this is not something that I'm doing for the kicks, because the kicks are small when you're talking about luxury bags. But I am, as a small business person myself, super excited to see that there is somebody who's seen a gap in the market and developed a platform that we can trade our bags in a much more confident way with less fees than what we've ever been able to do so before. I can't speak highly enough of my experience with the Enter Offer crew. I did not want to do a video without having had an experience that I could speak of. I haven't bought through them yet, but don't worry, it is one of my go-to platforms in terms of constantly scrolling, and I'm sure it won't be too long before I make my first purchase either. So 3 different bags that I've sold, 3 different platforms. If you ask me, selling is just something you don't want to do anyway. But if you're going to do it, you want confidence, you want trust, you want convenience, and you want the ability for it to not suck up your time. And at the end of the day, you get to set your price. You decide how long the item's for sale. You decide who you sell it to. And then once you have and it's been sold, it's off your hands. You don't need to do anything else. So when I look at the bags that I've sold, I think all of them were an odd shape for me. So the boy bag and the twist were both very structured bags, very boxy and structured bags, and they're not bags that I generally find in my collection. The bucket bag, not so structured, but the shape of the bag just didn't work for me either. So the colour I loved, the colour of the boy I loved, the colour of the twist, not so much. I looked around my collection to see if there's anything else I would sell, and to be honest, there's not. And I've got quite a lot of bags, so I actually feel like I'm in a really good space with my collection at the moment. There's potentially, you know, some little bits and pieces that I would look at, but the price that I would get for them versus the optionality that they bring in my collection means that I'm, you know, as long as I can store them, I'm going to keep them. Selling is not fun, but it can be less painful if you use the right platform for the job. I'd love to know what bags you have been selling this year and why you've decided to sell them. I think it takes a bit of reckoning to actually make the decision to sell, especially when you've made such an investment in these pieces in the first place. And if you've sold before, you just know that it's not an easy process necessarily, and it is going to cost you. And that's just part and parcel of selling anything. I do not buy for investment. I do not expect to recoup the funds that I paid out for bags. That is not the point. They are just things. They are not investments. And I consider anything that is different between what I paid and what I sold it for as my rental fee for holding on to the bag for that period of time. And at the end of the day, I'm much happier if I'm not looking at things that are no longer sparking joy in my life. So be sure, if you live here in Australia, to check out the link in my description box below that'll take you through to Enter Offer, where you can sign up and get your $20 site credit. And just know that I do not get paid anything until, if ever, you purchase through the platform, and then there's $20 in it for me. So full disclosure, full transparency. I hope you find something that you love, or you find it a great platform to sell on. I would really encourage you to just get on there and have a look. The more of us that can support platforms like this, the more likely it is that we're able to trade our bags in a much more easy way, and the Aussie Luxe community can just grow and blossom. There's probably a few Facebook groups that won't be very happy about this, but oops. So if you have liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I put out videos on Wednesdays and Sundays, so I'll see you next time. Bye.